Welcome everybody to our daily Zoom. It's just a continuous pleasure to be here every morning at 9 a.m. It's been amazing, an amazing 2 weeks. Just so great to have the structure, the consistency, the incredible people that show up for this. It's just been fabulous. All the engagement. I'm just scrolling to see who's here this morning. Thank you. David and Brad and Elizabeth and Eileen, yay. So awesome. So if you're here for the first time and you haven't heard me say this yet this morning, please introduce yourself in the Zoom, in the chat box, say where you're calling in from, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how you're doing this morning, 10 being terrific, 1 being kind of weary, wonky, weepy, or just overall feeling kind of like crap. And however you're feeling is completely welcome here. So please do share. We have a very engaging time at these daily intimacies. Thank you, Andrew, feeling a seven-ish this morning. Really engaging. The chat is very active typically, and we like it that way. So we're not just here to talk at you, but to share. And I'm really excited to introduce Maria in a little bit and to have an exchange of information, ideas, and just an opportunity to get feedback and be supported and support others. So thank you in advance for all the ways that you participate. So with that, I am going to invite us all to have a breath and gently close our eyes. And we'll just have a brief centering. So a nice deep breath all the way down into the belly. And exhale. And let's do that again. And this time as we breathe in and allow the belly to expand, let's bring the shoulders up to the ears. And squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hold the breath and exhale. And we'll do that again. So as you're breathing in, you're kind of squeezing everything in towards the central channel of your body, the middle where your spine is. Squeeze the shoulders up. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Maybe tighten everything you can think of, your arms, your legs, your hips. And exhale. Good. And just a couple of breaths. Couple of easy breaths. Breathing all the way down to the base of your body, the root chakra. Allowing the breath to travel up to your heart center and open your heart a little bit more. And exhale and release. And again, bringing the breath in and up to the heart center. And exhale and release. And just continuing to settle in here and land here. It's like we need to keep coming back to a place of ground and connection. And so in this moment, I want you to imagine, or invite you to imagine, that you're with all of these 30 plus beautiful beings in the same space, in a big circle in the woods. And just picture these really tall, beautiful trees. Perhaps it's a place you've been before, or a place you've only seen in photographs, or a place that just pops into your memory in this meditation, into your imagination. And just see all of us standing together in a big circle, fire in the center. We've traveled through life together to get here, to this particular group of people. Even though it seems random, we know that the universe has orchestrated it just right for this morning and for this circle under the trees. And you might see the fire start to rage a little bit more and get more ignited, bigger flames, more heat coming off of the fire. And for a moment, everybody takes hands And we just gaze into the fire, the wisdom of the fire, and all the elements that are around us, the air, the fire, the earth beneath our feet, the sky. And just taking in, this is a moment to receive. So as you continue to imagine yourself in that space, I invite you to open to receive, receiving from the air, receiving from the earth, receiving from the fire. And this morning, there's a message from the fire for you. And so I just invite you to tune in to what that is right now. What's the message that the fire is providing for you this morning under those tall trees in the woods, together in this circle? Allow it to land in your belly and see if you can hear it or see it or feel it, because we all sense energy and intuition in a different way and in different ways. And if nothing comes this morning, that's completely okay as well. And with that, I invite you to have a nice deep breath again. And exhale. We drop hands around the fire and bring our hands back to our own hearts. And send a blessing all around, gratitude for that time by the fire, for that sacred ritual this morning. Slowly tuning back into your surroundings in your homes, bringing yourself back to wherever you're sitting or lying down or standing, to the energy that's around you. Have a breath when you're ready and gently open your eyes. Welcome, everybody. So yeah, just looking at the comments, thank you for the chat. 7, Brad says another cup of coffee. Jessica's here now with a 7. Beverly sure feels the heat. Yes. If you care to share the message that you got from the fire, if you did get one and you want to share it with us, please do put it in the chat. And Lorraine, tears, thank you. Thank you for your tears and thank you for acknowledging them. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody. So Maria Merloni.
Yes.
Lovely human being that I'm so excited to have with me today. Maria is someone I've known for, I'm going to say 7 or 8 years, since I kind of started this new version of my work. 20 years into it, it's always evolving, isn't it? But I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe 8 years anyway, I think, when Maria first stepped into a room that I was in. And I always tell this story about you, Maria, because you just like came in, like did your thing, whatever you needed to do, and then you would leave. And I'd be like, who is that woman? And eventually I found out who you are. Beautiful powerhouse, authentic, healing, amazing woman that you are, healer and healing, as we all are. Anyway, and then, yeah, we got to know each other and we started working together and you partnered up with one of my best friends and all this good stuff. It happened over many years.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm thrilled to have you and I'm really grateful that you're here to actually tell the story about what's been going on for you and share with us the power and the the intention, and the word potent is coming to me, and I didn't know how to fit it into the sentence, but the potency of coming back to our full self, I guess, is what I want to say. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to see a whole bunch of the people that I invited last night are here. Yay! And yes, I was inspired to share this because of what's really about my own experience being alive during this time of the pandemic. And so because I have a compromised immune system, I actually started isolating about a month ago, and not isolating by myself because I live with my partner. And so he and I were here, and at first I really thought it was like the greatest thing ever. I was just in so much bliss that we got to stay home all the time, and it seemed like we had all kinds of extra quality time to spend with each other, and I was doing all kinds of house projects that I had been wanting to do, for such a long time. And then I started to feel kind of like I was sleepwalking, and, perhaps other people might be able to identify with this feeling, but I realized that I was in somewhat of a state of denial about what was really happening in my world, and also in the world at large. And I started to feel less alive. And that's why this today is about reconnecting with our fullest selves, because, normally my work is all about sex and relationships, and what it all starts with is with relationship with ourselves. And basically our relationship with ourselves is about our relationship with spirit, because we are a little spark of that. And so what had happened was I had really lost touch with myself. And I started, like I said, I started to feel kind of blah. And I was talking on the phone with a friend one day, and I said, oh yeah, I'm really sad. And I couldn't even necessarily say what it was all about, but I just knew that I had this huge well of sadness inside myself. And so she held space for me, and I just let it come through. And what I have found, I've read this, but then when I really experienced it, turns out it's true, is that just to feel a pure feeling, no matter what it is, doesn't actually take that long. They say it takes like 90 seconds. And so I just let it all come right through. I was crying, and then I got in touch with some fear that was there underneath the sadness. And I've mostly, teeter-tottered with that fear at different times. But basically what happened is, ever since I had that release, I started really, because I was more in touch with myself, I started really listening to my inner self that was telling me things like, go outside. I kept on getting these images of me jogging, which I wouldn't usually have the urge to jog, but like, it was like my body, I felt like a horse, and I couldn't wait for the race to start. I really wanted to get out there and start moving my body. And so that was certainly one of the things that brought me back to feeling really vibrant and alive. And more meditation, for sure. I think it's for all of us, me included, I've had a regular practice of meditating every day for, I don't even know, 15 years or something like that. But it seems that right now is a time to do more meditation. And part of what my sadness was about, that I do know of, is that I knew that I wanted to be able to offer something to the community of people out there. Um, and I felt like I was supposed to know what it was and be offering it. And I was looking at my colleagues, like putting it all out there right away and thinking like, wow, I am really screwing this up. And so the other thing that happened was once I had that release, it became clear to me that really what I am here to offer is, number one, healing. Like I have a pretty strong ability to heal, even through distance. So I've been offering that as it has come up with different people that I talk to, clients and friends, etc. Um, and also just to hold space for people while they are having this really strange experience that none of us really thought would happen, or none of us could have predicted. And I think that it's important to say that we're all being affected by this, even if we think we're not. I kind of thought maybe I was exempt because I'm a sex and relationship coach, and of course I know how to deal with feelings, but I'm not exempt. And and I just wanted to give an opportunity for people to, presence themselves here in the group and be able to share their own experiences, whether they, resonate with anything I've said or not. I know we're all individual. And certainly to also ask questions if people have questions about, anything I've said, or just in general, like how can I cope with this? How can I get through this?
Maria,
Yeah.
not to put you on the spot, but I might a little bit.
Okay.
Your healing story is actually really powerful. And
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe some people on this call know it, but
Mm-hmm.
some might not. And I think it's really relevant because
Mm-hmm.
it has to do with your immune system. Like you said, you're
Oh, yeah.
immunocompromised, but you didn't share. And so I wonder if you would share more, because the story is powerful, and the contrast of how you've been feeling and how you're feeling now, and obviously feel now, is really powerful. And I think, right now there's people that don't feel so great, even if they're healthy, and all the fear is suppressing our immune systems. And some people are having, getting other things that, and not feeling great. And so I don't know. I just feel like
Yeah.
there's an opportunity there.
Yeah. Thank you, Robyn. I think, yeah, I'd love to share about that. So about 2.5 years ago, I moved here to Milton to be with my beloved. And it was almost like as soon as I got here, I could kind of let everything go. I had been living a pretty crazy lifestyle that involved basically like living in 3 places every week. And I got here and I noticed that I started to not want to go out for a jog in the morning, which I had always, that would be my regular routine. And it was like I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And I realized I am so exhausted, so mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted. And I later found out that I had Lyme disease, and I also, many people have Epstein-Barr virus, but once someone's immune system is stressed by something like Lyme disease, then the Epstein-Barr can really start to act up. So I felt like many people can probably relate to this. It was like when you have the flu and you feel like you're gonna die. I felt like that every day for like months, and with lots of ups and downs. And I've been very clear that I knew I was going to recover from this. And I also knew that I was going to 100% eradicate Lyme from my body. And sometimes I started to lose faith because it's been a long journey. And that's actually really interesting too, because I attribute, I give many thanks to the doctors and practitioners that worked with me. And when I started to really listen to myself, like, oh yeah, I don't think I need to see that person anymore. I don't think I need to take that supplement anymore, is when I started to feel better and better. And yesterday, as a matter of fact, I had my last Rife session with my herbalist, and that was the final session for me to, excuse me, eliminate the Lyme from my body completely. So I am actually feeling better physically, thank you, Laura, physically and emotionally than I have in years. And so, yeah, that is a powerful healing story. And, I would say that I learned a lot from going through that experience, but some of the things that I learned, which I think are also very applicable now, are that there are levels of self-care. I thought that I was doing a good job with self-care, and people always used to tell me, oh, you're so good at self-care. I had to go in some deep self-care to points where, it was very uncomfortable for me to say, no, I can't do that. Yes, I need you to do this thing for me over and over. And I slowed down. Like I couldn't stay awake for more than 3 hours at a time at the beginning. So I really slowed down and, loved myself as best I could, even though I had a part that was really angry at myself for being sick. And it's not just physical, like definitely emotional as well. I mean, that was absolutely affected. So yeah, is that kind of what you were getting at, Robyn?
Yeah, because it's a powerful story. And I think it's important to share that. And it relates to now. And, one of the questions I put in the chat that came through me while listening to you that you said is, how do you keep the faith when it feels hard? I mean, that's a long healing journey, a couple of years. And I know it's like, peaks and valleys and ebbs and flows and stuff, but it's like a marathon, it's not running down the block. It's
Right.
a long haul. And it relates to where we're at right now, maybe. And so I think what I put out into the room is, how do you keep the faith when it feels hard? Like, what have you been doing, those of you that are here, that gives you faith right now? So I'd love to hear some feedback in the chat. And if there's anybody who wants to share, just put me in the chat and you can unmute yourself, or we'll unmute you. Love to hear what people are doing and have to say about this topic. And also, if it's hard to keep the faith, obviously that is the flip side of the question. And happy to hear, about that as well. So Jason says, I lean into my spiritual practices, take time outside in nature, talk with friends when life gets hard. Yes. Me, Monique. Great. Do you want to unmute yourself, Monique?
Hi.
Hi, Monique.
So thank you for having me be part of the group. I'm sorry I couldn't get my Zoom working yesterday. So I've had a lot of really high, really low lows, and I'm trying to kind of find a stable place during all of this, for a couple of reasons. I'm a public health grad student, so my head is kind of really spinning through all of this. I have spent the better part of 2 decades basically immersed in this field. So I had some pretty solid background on this kind of environment in terms of mentally prepared for the information surrounding a pandemic, but being emotionally prepared for it is a whole other ball game. And the two things that kind of keep going through my mind are taking things one day at a time, and we've never done this before, so we're all kind of doing the best that we can. So that's kind of, those are the two mantras that I kind of just keep telling myself. And then the personal challenges I think I'm having have been related to, I'm also immune compromised. I'm a stroke survivor. And so on top of that, I have the Epstein-Barr history, and I have some other like immune system function challenges that we're trying to figure out. And so I am not able to be I'm not working right now, so I'm at home, but my husband is an essential worker. So every day we're trying to make sure that when he comes into the house, he's not bringing anything in, and we're trying to take care of our home environment to make sure that, you know, we're safe here and that he's safe coming in, and that when he's going out to work, he's safe. And that's been a challenge. It's been stressful. And then just physically being here, not feeling like I can help the way that I would like to, has been hard, because everybody's sort of limited in what they can do right now, because we really don't know what we can do in terms of our own exposures. You know, we're all told to kind of we have to social distance. So I actually had not been able to journal for a long time, for a long time. And I finally picked that up a couple of weeks ago. I felt like this is definitely a historical moment, and I think that this is something that I need to record, if not for myself, for my daughter for sure. And I started journaling, and I had been always journaling pen to paper, but I found that I couldn't do that anymore. So I've been writing on my computer, and it has actually given me so much relief. When I feel too much pressure and stress and emotion, I just get on the laptop and I just start typing away, and it has made a huge difference for me.
That is so good to hear. I just want to say that's awesome.
It's been amazing. And so I would have never thought that I would have done this. I actually thought journaling was over for me. So that was a huge surprise, and I'm very grateful for that. And I do agree with whoever mentioned getting out into nature, because thank God for those birds singing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you, Monique. I'm really glad you're able to get on today, and I'm sorry that you had those challenges yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story. You've got some comments in the chat, like, you know, we're with you. It sounds stressful, and yeah, thanks for letting us kind of embrace you
Thanks.
as you share your story. Yeah. And I'm glad you found something that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it up.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes, I'm just writing some of the other things that I heard you say, Monique, about, you know, what has helped. One of them being taking things one day at a time, which I think is so important right now. I know that, you know, there are things in the news or whatever, and people are predicting like, oh, it's probably going to be over in a month, or some people are saying in 18 months. And sometimes my partner will say things, oh yeah, you know, we'll be able to do that thing at that time. And I will just say, actually, we don't know. And so the more that I have found, the more that I can stay with right now,
Right.
better I am.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And also, this is totally new to everyone, and we're all doing the best we can. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us all, especially recovering perfectionists like
Yes.
myself, to realize that we're all human and we don't have to be perfect, and we're not perfect, and to be kind to ourselves and also kind to others who, perhaps in our eyes aren't doing it right.
Definitely. I think it's okay to be a beginner here and for all of us to be learning as we go.
Yeah, we're all beginners at this. Yeah, great to see you too.
Monique, scroll the chat. You've got some love and missing and all sorts of good juju there.
Thank you, Robyn.
Yeah. And Maria, you might also just scroll. There's some people, just adding their input to what they do to keep the faith. And Mitchell Rosenwald, I love this because I also have my father's voice in my head sometimes. And he says his dad would always say everything works out. And that along with an amazing partner that you have in your life, yes. But my father used to say these things to me too when my world seemed to be turned upside down. And interestingly enough, he would say, like, you have your health. It's okay. Like, those are just things. You have your health. So I've been thinking about that. And of course, I'm really grateful that I have my health right now. And even if I'm feeling the, ebbs and flows, ultimately, yes. And your daughter, Jamie, says really great things. Along with processing feelings and letting them move and connecting with people, learning a new language right now. I love that.
No, I am very inspired by you, Jamie, and James, and the others that you're living with, that they camped out in the backyard last night as an example. Like, they are finding all the things to do to make this the best possible situation. And honestly, it looks pretty fun.
You guys camped out in your backyard? What a great idea.
Yeah, right before all the shops closed, there was like this camping store that had everything like 60% off. So I bought a tent for like 30 pounds. And then, yeah, we set it up last night. We watched Netflix in the tent, brought our books, and then we got up and worked out in the yard.
OMG, that's all I have to say about that. That's so great.
I know.
I'm like, okay, where's my tent? I'm going.
And is it okay if I speak on something else as well quickly?
Yes.
Okay. So right before I moved to England, I'm here doing my master's program for people who don't know. I had been anxious for like a couple years, but I also got really depressed like the month or two before I came here. And then once I got to England and I got in my routine, I started working out and walking every day and meditating and just like sticking to my work. I started to feel so much better. And then once we found out about the quarantine, I started to think about it. I was like, wow, like the reason I got depressed before was because I was like in the house all the time and not doing anything. And I can't let that happen again. So in order to make sure that I don't let myself fall into that, I've just been like staying really active and trying to like get outside as much as possible, stay in the garden, do my work in the garden, and find new things to keep myself busy, like mentally, emotionally, physically. So yeah.
Right on. I look up to you, honey.
Yeah, I feel
Well, I look up to you too.
Thanks.
I feel teary listening to you, Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
I have a son that
Thank
also
you.
went through a lot of anxiety and is working on how to manage that. And it's, yeah, beautiful to come back to resilience and learn what self-care feels like. And awesome job. And thanks for the inspiration. Something really creative, like set up a tent in the backyard. And Jessica put here, her kids set it up, I think, in the living room and they made s'mores. That's fun.
Aww.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna go to I'm just appreciating all the shares here. Sean, missing physical touch and and but still making connections through eye contact, and some people with social distancing walks. And Andrew Do you want to unmute and share? And then you just had, like Lorraine said, just thinking along the same lines with Andrew, when I see how so many individuals and small companies have reached out and done amazing things. We humans are more capable and powerful than we know. This is the opportunity to use all our love, creative abilities to help each other. We can make this a better world. Yes. I'm touched by that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful things happening in the world.
I don't know if Andrew unmuted too. Yeah, yes, go ahead, Maria. And if Andrew, you want to speak, yeah, also do that.
That people really are becoming more aware of the fact that we're all one. We are all connected, and something like this will bring us right to that very easily. And yeah, it's been really inspiring, and that's honestly one of the reasons why my prediction is that this is going to go on longer, because not everybody has caught on to that stuff yet.
So, yeah, this is what's keeping me going. I mean, I'm feeling very fortunate not to. I've been talking about this sort of change for a long time, and it almost seems like it's engineered to do this, as Maria was saying, to bring us all together. I mean, it's pretty amazing that this virus has been engineered to keep us. Well, one thing is keeping us in our homes, doing our own, a lot of us turning inward, others having children running around and everything else. So I don't want to. I'm in a different position, and then worrying about each other and realizing that the things we do can affect others in negative ways. I mean, all these subliminal messages are kind of embedding themselves or becoming part of our DNA. And I don't know how it turns out, but there is this. I'm very curious, and on that positive side, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we're all at different stages in life, and that makes a big difference in our experience, I think, right now as well.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
So true about that. Yes.
I also want to say that I know that Sean is not the only one who's missing touch. Those of us that live alone have been really missing touch. I've been hearing that a lot. And I'm going to be offering a weekly group similar to this on Zoom on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. And you don't have to write any of that down, because Robyn's going to send out the email with the replay, and it'll have a link to that. And one of the things I've been experimenting with is how we can actually have energetic touch through things like Zoom. And some of the people here were actually on a experimental Zoom call that I did, and it's pretty wild. And so I invite you all to come to that group. It's going to be that, but certainly much more, whatever people need, I'll be responding to. And basically just offering a space of holding a container, a safe container, and offering healing. And the other thing I want to say before I forget is that, I think it was you, Monique, that said, I just feel like, I'm here and I can't do anything. I actually know, I was going to say believe, that we are all part of the solution of this, that every single person here is part of the solution. And it's not a small thing to take good care of yourself and be as well as you can possibly be during this time, because how each one of us is individually affects the rest of the world. And I don't want to, sugarcoat things or sound like, one of those privileged people, which I am a privileged person, who just says, everything's great, just keep feeling it, because everything's not great. And the better we can feel, the more of the time, the faster we are getting to a solution.
That's really important what you just said, Maria.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are all part of the solution. That's really, really important.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've addressed that in our daily Zooms yet. That piece. It's like, yes, we're all in this together. You know, yes, that helps us feel not alone and shifts our sort of myopic thinking to global and beyond, which is what this is partially all about and what's important about it. But being part of the solution with a really clear focus and intention of that truth is really important and a wonderful mantra to hold, because you know, for anybody that thinks they're, you know, the parts of us or the parts of you and the parts of us that feel we don't deserve or we're not worthy or, well, you know, my impact doesn't make a difference. This is the counter to anybody or any parts of ourselves that believed that. You know, what does one vote count in a state where we're gonna, you know, they're gonna end up choosing the Democrat anyway, or, you know, fill in the blank with any version of that. And because this has rocked the world on this global level, we can't possibly say ever again that, you know, the little dominoes, you know, that line up aren't, you know, we're not you know, we are impacting, and we do have that capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This thought just came to me, which was like, just as we all can infect each other with the virus, we can all also infect each other with hope and goodness and love and, you know, oneness.
Wow, my name's Linda, and I wanted to echo that I love that, Maria, that we can infect others. And also that earlier when you were talking about the levels of self-care, so that is something that I've learned a lot lately. So I was diagnosed with cancer about 6 months. Anyway, 4 or 5 months ago. And it's been the greatest gift of my life. I mean, other than the birth of my children, I would say. But because I've had to get to huge new levels of what self-care. And I've been a person that always ate well and exercised and yoga, you know, meditation. But what I've appreciated most about it, and it was great to hear you say it because I haven't had anybody else say that, about the levels of self-care. It gets much deeper, and my intuition has, when I've calmed down, because I stopped everything before this, and I just, in taking care of myself and what was next, and I used to say, like, I don't have intuition. Well, it was because I wasn't stopping enough to really tap into it. And so now I get it all the time. Well, that's next. Or in November, I said, I know it's going to be February. When it's February and it's cold here in Michigan, I'm going to want to go someplace warm, and I need to really up my meditation. And so I went away for a week and did intensive meditation, and it was fabulous. And that was something. And then I knew I've got to do something different about my diet. What will that be? And boom, the thing will just come up. So it's like I don't want to go back to any other way. And yet doing the amount of care that I do now is a full-time job, and it's all day long. But how will I, you know, the balance, I know that it can come, and I don't have to do everything. Now I do a lot of things for my health, but that, and how it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. And I also know that this is just a little blip on the radar screen, you know, that was to wake me up, and that I will find the balance, because I will heal. I'm not even worried about it, actually.
Even I,
Huh?
for you.
Yeah, I would just, and I was all set to move to Italy. My daughter lives there, and so obviously that's on hold, and she's been hunkered down in her apartment for, I think she's been down for like 4 or 5 weeks. And the first time when it happened, because it was before here, and I said, just get your yoga and meditation and do something creative. And luckily, the day before they closed all the stores, she went and bought a canvas. She's a painter. So she's got a painting. She's up to her yoga, meditation, and she said she's fine. You know, it's like she's not even like fazed by it. It's like, this is just what we're doing, and worked out. So
It's wonderful to see you, and you look amazingly vibrant.
I feel like the best I've ever felt. So I'm like, this is really good, you know, but, you know, I do have like tumors in my body and stuff, but it's like, okay, they're all shrinking, and all.
Yeah. I want to say also, as you were talking, Linda, about your daughter and all the wonderful things she's doing, and many people have talked about, you know, I'm doing this thing and this really helps me, that I also recognize that if you are a person that's, you know, especially if you're a person that's sensitive, if you're not, you know, if you're listening to people saying how, you know, great they feel, and you're thinking, well, that sounds good for them, but I can't even get the motivation to, you know, take a shower every day. I understand that. And it's impossible to go from there to here in one step. And I just want to just re-emphasize again that the path back to yourself is to really give yourself some compassion, some love, some attention, and allow yourself to feel your feelings and release them, because then you will have the energy. Then you will be connected with yourself and have access to those things. Like you said, you know, like, oh, I thought I wasn't intuitive. Everybody's intuitive, but we just have to quiet down and slow down enough to know what's best for us. What's best for all of us is best for everybody. That's the cool thing also about the universe.
That's true. Just going to jump in. Linda, do read the chat, because you've got a lot of beautiful messages for you while you were speaking and sharing, so I don't want you to miss them. And blessings. Thank you so much for sharing. And Erin had a good question. If you want to unmute, but I could also read it. She says, I agree that feelings are contagious. Similarly, we can affect each other with negativity if we're feeling positive during the crisis and others around us, family, are not and don't feel into that vibe. What's the best way to handle that while respecting everyone's needs? Very good question. Maria, you want to answer, or?
Yeah, absolutely. In a household where people were feeling badly, I would probably err on the side of self-love and not expose myself to a great deal of negativity. And also, I think the other really important thing is that, you know, if somebody is not in a good space about this, for us to kind of like come down to the energetic plane that they're on does not help them. So as much as it may be hard for the people around us who aren't feeling so great, we still need to be in our good place. And it's possible to do that while having empathy at the same time. You can have absolute empathy, compassion, love for the other people, and at the same time have good boundaries and be clear and standing in your square so that you don't succumb to where they're at.
It's great feedback, Maria. Response. I think the challenge is honoring how they're feeling and validating how they're feeling without going into their energy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm having this experience on a regular basis because my son is feeling really anxious. And some days it gets inside and it's very challenging. And in the last couple of days, I'm really working on my energetic boundaries. So I'm just going to offer a quick tool for those of you that have been practicing with me or Maria or any of the other practitioners in the area. You've probably done this, but just a very quick sort of tantric practice or tool is to put yourself inside an energetic bubble to protect your space. And so we have a minute, we can do it now, and then we can
Let's do
address. Do you want me just to continue? Okay. Or do you want to?
I want to do it because I have my own unique one that people might have not have done before. So
awesome, do it. Yeah. So I just want to say this is a tool, and we're going to practice it, and then I suggest you write it down because very, very helpful during this time, not only with other people in your energy field or in your your sphere, but also in the world, the energy that's in the world, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Okay. So let's all take a deep breath, close our eyes. And start to imagine that you are inside of your very own personal egg-shaped bubble. I kind of picture it as an actual egg shell that just has you inside of it, no yolk or anything like that. And that inside this bubble, you have access to all your own feelings, and this is like a permeable eggshell in the sense that you can reach out energetically to others. But if there's negative energy, which is basically fear, right? But if there are others around you who are, depressed, super anxious, angry, any of those, lower vibrational feelings, those cannot penetrate your bubble. And so there's kind of like a orangish yellow glow all around the bubble and inside of it. And in here, you can enjoy your positive feelings. You can let out your negative feelings. And on the surface, the outer surface of your bubble, it's reflective, so that if someone around you is feeling some negative feelings, those cannot come in. And that's why. And on the inside of your egg-shaped bubble, there are a couple of dials that you'll see. And one of them has an I on it, just the letter I. And so now in your mind's eye, see yourself reaching out and turning that dial all the way to the left, which means all the way down. And the I is for intensity. So you've just turned down the intensity of the outside world. And then beside that is another dial with the letter V on it. And V stands for volume. So again, in your mind's eye, reach out and see your hand turning that volume dial all the way down. And so you've just also turned down the volume of the outside world. And goes hand in hand. You've turned down the intensity and the volume of your inner experience as well. When we're not being influenced by the fear that's out there in the universe, we tend to come to a very calm and peaceful place. And so when you're ready, you can take another deep breath And come back to the group and open your eyes. And just know that at any time you can go into this exercise and reinforce your energetic bubble, because sometimes the world can come knocking on it pretty loudly.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that with me when I when I engage with my extended family today. Immediate
Yeah,
family today.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Maria. Oh my gosh, that was
Welcome.
amazing. If anybody wants to put in the chat how they're feeling in this moment after that beautiful meditation, please do. And we're just at the end of our time. You're welcome. I know some people are scooting off to their next Zoom call, which I totally can appreciate.
Yes, yes. And I also have to be done right at 10 because I have another one coming up. And I'm so glad and grateful and happy that all of you were here today. Also to the people that will be listening to this later. And, you know, even if you were here present, you might want to listen to it, because sometimes we all miss things the first time around.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I thank you. Thank you, Maria, and thank you everybody for being here. And yeah, all the beautiful messages in the chat, we really appreciate. I'll be sending out the recording later. I'll be sending out some information that Maria has for you about what she's offering soon. And tomorrow we have Lisa Campion, who is an incredibly beautiful woman with deep intuition and psychic abilities. And she's going to talk to us about how to use our own intuition to guide us during this time. So I like what you said, Maria. You know, we are all intuitive, absolutely. For some, the channels are more open. For others, they're open a little less, and they can be open nice and wide. So she's going to talk with us about that tomorrow, and we'll have some practice, I'm sure. So I look forward to seeing you all back here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and have a blessed rest of your day. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Very touching and beautiful time together this morning. Namaste.
Namaste.
I'll leave the chat open for anybody that wants to send a message, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Thanks,
Bye, Maria. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Yes, an hour has passed already, Neil says. I know, it went fast. I agree. David, good to see you here.
Thank you, Maria.